Okay, so we're live. So welcome to another Black and White Football. This is episode number 11. There's been a couple of other tests on Twitch over the last kind of couple of days. So this is number 11 that should be going out on Facebook Live at the moment, as well as Twitch and YouTube. So welcome back to another Black and White Football. So I think we're just going to dive in two-footed. There's been a lot to talk about over the last couple of days. There's been more action today. Some action yesterday and a lot over the weekend that we haven't had a chance to talk about yet. So, how are you, David? How are you doing?
I'm good. It's been a while since we've last got the chance to speak about some World Cup football. But I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Yeah. So yeah, we'll just jump straight into it, I guess, since time is of the essence. So we're just gonna immediately talk about Portugal versus Iran, and then I think we'll follow in quite quickly afterwards with the Spain-Morocco game. So what did you think of that Quaresma strike? Absolute worldie.
Oh, it's an amazing strike, and it kind of saved Portugal's blushes in the end, especially after Ronaldo missed that penalty. But yeah, that was some strike. But you have to say Iran gave a good go, and they definitely made themselves proud in terms of the performance against them. That goalkeeper, the save, the story behind it, it was pretty impressive.
Yeah, and I don't think Quaresma is actually capable of not scoring goals with the outside of his right foot, cutting in from the right hand side. It seems to be his kind of trademark. So, yeah, I thought he was a big kind of call to bring into the team. So that was an interesting shout from Santos, the manager. So it obviously kind of paid dividends given that he got the goal, and obviously Ronaldo missed that penalty. So I think everyone was expecting it to go in. I think Ronaldo was as well, but great save for the keeper, and as you say, the story behind his kind of rise, something that we'll kind of cover a bit later. So yeah, I think that Quaresma strike will definitely be on the compilation highlights at the end of the World Cup.
For sure. It's even just it seems like Quaresma, despite his troubles in terms of club football, he's always seemed to be a mainstay in the national side. And like you mentioned, he always seems to score some worldies, tournaments past, he's just at least scored some stunners, and that goal was no different. That's probably my pick so far for goal of the tournament, I have to say.
Yeah, no, it was beautiful. Absolute, like I was waiting for the behind the goal shot, like, and then yeah, the whip he got it, and it was just something else. So yeah, we kind of briefly mentioned the Ronaldo penalty miss, but I got a nice little image here of the keeper just saving it. He actually was behind the goal line before the penalty was taken, and then ended up quite a bit outside. So what did you think? Did you think it was good save, bad penalty, or just just one of those things, bit of luck?
In terms of what Ronaldo can do, that was a bad penalty. Ronaldo can put that on anywhere on the goal, and it'll be in. But looking back at that penalty, was a nice height for the goalkeeper. It wasn't all the way on the right hand side, bottom right hand side of the corner where I presumed he'd want it to be. Credit to the keeper, he guessed right. He did his job. But due to Ronaldo, we know Ronaldo's quality. We know what he can do. He'll be slightly disappointed, even with the draw, and they're through probably now. It's just a little dampener on his hot start to the tournament. No more goals. Kane now is kind of fully ahead in terms of the golden boot. So I'm sure Ronaldo and his egotistical, ego will be a little bit bruised today.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people are putting to bed the Messi versus Ronaldo debate when Messi missed his penalty after Ronaldo's hat-trick. So I guess it's 1-1 in terms of missed penalties. So again, it's over to Messi to see what he can do, see if he can drag Argentina through to next round.
Hopefully not.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll talk about Nigeria hopefully towards the end of the show as well. So just have a picture here of the Iranian team. They're distraught at the end of the game. A lot of tears and emotions, and players hanging their heads. This player is just flat out on the pitch, kind of sobbing into his arms. So very emotional game, obviously football, so never nice to see, but I guess someone's always going to be on the losing side. So they were a credit to their nation, and they did well. And on another day, that last minute chance that went into the side netting, that could have went in, and we could be sitting here talking about Ronaldo and Co going home.
Well, like that's the thing. That's why they are a smaller footballing nation. chances like that, you can definitely see the differences in quality. You know, if you give a bigger national side that type of opportunity, and with a player of the same position, you know, say 7 out of 10 chances, that's probably going in. But like you said, they definitely have the right to hold themselves high. And what I've loved to see so far in the tournament is the passion. You know, even your boy Son, after South Korea got knocked out, and him crying in the dressing room. You know, it's great to see. Not obviously his tears, but at least the passion showed towards the game. And for all the talk we talk about footballers being, you know, heartless missionaries for their club teams, you know, it's not quite the case. You know, the amount of, you know, love and passion that these guys are investing into this tournament is a great sight to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's it goes beyond just a game. You know, obviously, hopes of a nation, and obviously a lot of players as well will have the highest hopes for themselves, kind of going into a tournament. So, yeah, I have that picture of Son in the roundup as well. So, we'll talk about his performance and stuff later on. So, kind of moving along, just the story on the background of Iran's goalkeeper. So he ran away from home, grew up homeless, and slept outside his local football stadium. People were giving him change because he thought he was a beggar, and tonight he performs on the world stage and saves a penalty from Cristiano Ronaldo, arguably the best player in the world. So it's a fantastic story of kind of rags to riches in a way, but being able to perform for his nation, and you know, he could be a national hero if things went a different way for them, but no one will ever be able to take that away from him, that the fact that he managed to save a penalty from Ronaldo.
I think he is a national hero, him just doing that. How many people in the world can actually say they've saved one of Ronaldo's penalties, and this goalkeeper has kind of put himself in that list of goalkeepers, and it just goes to show, you know, you work hard enough, you believe in something, as cheesy as it sounds, and you can achieve it, you know, especially in such a country that's maybe difficult to survive in if you don't have money, such as Iran. You know, credit to him and credit to his story, and hopefully it inspires the new generation of goalkeepers in Iran to hopefully, you know, pick up the sport and develop themselves.
Yeah, absolutely, be great to see, and you know, he is a national hero because he gave an entire nation of people hope going into that. Because if that penalty goes in, I think, you know, it's an easy win for Portugal. But you know, the momentum was with them after that, and obviously they got their own kind of controversial penalty. But did you see the Ronaldo kind of incident where, you know, it was kind of a VAR review for potential red card?
No, I did not see that. Like, the highlights I saw for most of the game were very specific, mainly goal action highlights. So could you explain that?
Yeah, so it was kind of off the ball incident. There was kind of a ball that was kind of in deep into Iran's kind of half, and player kind of got in front of Ronaldo, kind of cut across his line, and then Ronaldo kind of came through and looked like he kind of threw an elbow. So I have an image here where he actually connects with him. So it's kind of those ones where Ronaldo might have been smart and done it deliberately and made it look like an innocuous challenge, but it was a very weird one. So I'm sure we'll hear a bit more about that over the next kind of coming days. To see.
That sounds very interesting, actually. Because if he did get that red card and was missing for first, you know, knockout stage.
Yeah, if they were down to 10 men, you know, like they might not have been able to hold on. But yeah, what ifs. So there's also a bit of a confusion at the back of Iran. So the Iranian goalkeeper and a centre defender kind of got into a pushing match at one point because there was kind of a miscommunication between the two, and the goalkeeper took a bit of umbrage to it, so he ended up kind of almost getting in a fight, and other players had to kind of separate them. So showing a bit of passion and you know, leaving it all out there. So yeah, what did you make of the Iranian penalty? Obviously it was a handball, kind of similar to the one that we saw for Denmark, or for Australia against Denmark. So what do you think?
I felt it was super harsh. It's given and taken very well, like very well. I just have to say, kind of off topic, that penalty and Kane's two penalties yesterday, they were just something else. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. I felt it was a bit harsh, but hey, if you're the Iranian team, you take what you get. And that player who took the penalty definitely took full advantage. sticking it right in the top right-hand corner. No one in the whole entire world is getting that, saving that penalty.
Mm-hmm.
So it was well taken. I think they looked at it on VAR as well, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, no, it took quite a long time actually to actually get the decision, and even the decision to take a look at it took a long time. So
yeah,
it was an interesting one.
That one was interesting. Like, it looked like anyone could have looked at that on VAR or video replay. It still would have been 50% thought it was a penalty, 50% thought it wasn't. I just happened to be that 50% who thought it wasn't. There could be a good percentage of people that thought it was. Like, VAR, no VAR, that one isn't clear and decisive, which VAR is supposed to be only used when you think it's a clear and decisive decision against what was called. So
yeah, no, it was a strange one, but I guess the only thing is that they gave that one in the Australia-Denmark game, so I don't think that was a penalty either, but I guess at least they're consistent. So I guess that is, but there was kind of an ongoing kind of battle the whole match really, because Guerrero was getting quite annoyed with the referee. Obviously they thought Ronaldo's penalty was given by VAR, so they thought that was harsh, and I think in previous games as well, Iran were kind of annoyed as well at the VAR kind of getting in the way and not kind of giving them the benefit of the decisions, but the other teams. So yeah, I think it was an interesting one, because there was a lot of people on the pitch getting quite animated about it on both sides really, so it was interesting.
Very interesting.
So we'll move along now onto the Spain game. So obviously there was another potential shock on the cards here. I guess probably the most controversial goal was the last minute, or the last minute kind of equalizer for Spain. So what did you think? Do you think it was offside, or what did you make?
It was onside, in my opinion. I think VAR kind of cleared that up. Like, I have to just say, opinion segment, I think VAR has been great. Obviously, we kind of got to speed some decisions up.
Yeah, definitely.
And we got to make sure like the referees are a little bit more decisive when they use VAR. But I got to say, 80-90% of the time, referees use VAR. The right decision has been got, and this is another example where the right decision was got, as sad as it is for the opposition team. But he was onside, and there's not really much else to say about it. Spain obviously didn't play their best they can, and it's kind of been like a big team for the tournament, bar the big performances from England and Belgium. But the rest of the big teams again are kind of stuttering against the smaller teams, and Spain was no different. They should not be in that situation with the quality that they have. Very disappointed with the Spanish defense. Goals conceded, and to kind of just barely get out of that one. But hey, they got out of it. Yeah. Here they are.
Yeah, no, it's been an interesting one, and as you kind of mentioned, Spain's kind of defense's woes. I don't think Piqué or Ramos covered themselves in any glory. Piqué had a 2-footed challenge earlier on that wasn't given as a red card, even though it looked like a pretty bad tackle. They got beaten in the air, the two of them. I think it was Ramos's man that beat him to put them 2-1 up, and then obviously Ramos just had an absolute shocker for the first one, effectively kind of giving the ball to their striker.
Yeah, I totally agree with your points there. Like, Spain, Ramos and Piqué are known as two of the best defenders in the world. Never mind La Liga. There's a reason why they both play for Real Madrid and Barcelona. So for those two to kind of be in that situation, I suppose, kind of shows where the Spanish national team is right now, and where they need to improve for the latter stages.
Yeah, so kind of talked about the PK 2-footed tackle. Got an image up here as well if you haven't seen it. It's a pretty bad one. So the referee was looking right at it as well. So it's surprising. I don't think he even got booked for it. So it's a bit of a shocker really from PK. And yeah, as you say, him and Ramos didn't cover themselves in glory. So I've got an image here as well of just the changing of the table live in real time. So it started off with Spain first and Portugal second, and then they swapped again, swapped, 3 times in in the match. So obviously Morocco kind of bumped ahead of Iran for a short period, and then at the end, if Iran did get that winner, they would have ended up winning that group, which is crazy to think that Iran came that close to not only qualifying, but they could have actually won that group, given how Spain were only drawing with Morocco. So crazy one. I don't think I've seen what looks like on paper just an open and shut case for Spain and Portugal to get out of. Obviously they both did, but it's a lot closer than I think anyone would have anticipated.
Oh, you're very right. Like I think when we first saw that 3-3 game, in the first match day, we were thinking, all right, these two are going to just steamroll the other two teams. But hasn't that been the case? And like it would have been hilarious to think of Iran topping the group, never mind just barely qualifying. So that's just what you kind of love about World Cup football, about tournament football, the way you've only got 3 games to kind of make a mark. It's not a case of like the Champions League where you play 6 times and the better teams generally will kind of win out. This is a case of where you've only got 3 games, and a big team, a small team can kind of put in two just really good performances to kind of get themselves through the group, and we've seen it in some other group stages, like for example Senegal have been a kind of a standout team for me, who may not be a stereotypical bigger power, but the way they've been playing and the way they've set themselves up is kind of similar to the way teams such as Iran potentially could have caused one of either Portugal or Spain trouble.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to seeing how these 2 teams kind of get on the group stages. Obviously we kind of have the first last 16 games kind of set up now, so I guess those 2 teams will be coming from Group A. So that was our Group B review from the last day. So moving swiftly on to Group A. So obviously we saw Mo Salah scoring again, but ultimately coming out on the losing side. So what do you think about his performance yesterday? And I guess overall there was a bit of a love in from him from it seems like the last kind of 6 months, the British press at least, but obviously didn't live up to the hype.
Yeah, like it's kind of being a bit overboard early in terms of the positive press he's been getting, especially from my boys at BBC. They've been basically sending him love letters in terms of the press they're giving him. Scored a nice goal.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Could have scored a second of similar ilk. But can't blame him. Came into the tournament with an injury, quite serious enough injury. They could and probably should be in Russia's position right now in that group. But hey, they're out. The tournament ends quicker than they expected. I think the Egyptian fans and the team will be disappointed. I feel they could have done better overall. Like even for example, losing to Saudi Arabia 2-1. Like, come on.
Yeah.
If you want to be, as critical as you can to a very decent Egyptian side, even without Salah on paper, I think Egypt should be beating Saudi Arabia. So, they've been knocked out of the tournament, and I thought they'd go into this last game with a little bit more pride. That was not the case. Saudi Arabia looked like they wanted it more. They looked like they wanted to really enjoy this last game. It showed in the result.
Yeah. So yeah, they didn't cover themselves in glory, which I think everyone was kind of hoping, or at least expecting, that they might be one of the surprise packages. But not having Salah for the first game, I think kind of put them on the back foot straight away. So I guess there's always what ifs in football, but I think that if he was fit and fully on form, then I think he would have been able to do something in that first game. Obviously it was a narrow defeat to Uruguay, so they leave with no points, no wins, So I think I'd be disappointed with that. So yeah, obviously Uruguay progressed. I think they've 3 wins under the belt. Haven't been the highest scoring team in the competition, but they haven't conceded yet. So yeah, what do you make about Uruguay?
Well, I thought this was probably their one of the best performance so far in the tournament. Nice comprehensive 3-0 win. A nice cheeky free kick from Suarez. Cavani also getting on the score sheet. Yeah, like this is probably more what you kind of expect from Uruguay and what they can do. At the same time, it's kind of like a little reality check for the Russian team. Still, they got to be very happy what they've done so far. They beat the teams ahead of them that they played in the first 2 days, and it's got them through. So I don't think they'll be too disappointed despite that loss. But now I think Uruguay, what they need to do is kind of take that win and turn it into some momentum going into the first knockout stage in the last 16. And like we said, they are one of our dark horses in terms of the bigger, stronger team. So let's see if Suarez and Co can do it.
Yeah, they've rock solid defense and 2 kind of world class strikers. Both have scored now in the tournament, so I think that would be good for them and good for their confidence moving into the last 16 games. So they take on Portugal, which I don't know if it's going to be the most highest scoring game, given Portugal's kind of new kind of style of being able to win ugly, and obviously that's kind of Uruguay's kind of style to be kind of set up defensively and look to pinch it with Suarez and Cavani. So looking forward to that one, even though I don't think it might be the best game for the neutral, but it should be an interesting battle nonetheless.
Hey, when you get to the knockout stages, every game's excited because even if it's 0-0, it's going to extra time.
Yeah.
Who doesn't have extra time? So.
True, yeah, and the penalties, squeaky bum time, I think Ferguson would probably call it, So yeah, moving on from Uruguay, we'll kind of talk. I don't know if you've noticed Tabarez, their manager, has been on a crutch for the entire tournament. So he's 71. He's the oldest manager in the tournament. He actually has some sort of a condition. I think that's the reason for the crutch. But he's still out barking orders on the side of the pitch. So I think he's an absolute hero, and he's probably one of the most longest-serving managers. Or at least it's his second stint as Uruguay manager. So probably collectively got brought into the semi-final in 2010. So absolute hero.
Sure. I think just the different types of managers that we've seen has been quite hilarious. I actually saw a post, and I think it's the Moroccan team, and the Moroccan manager has been quoted as being the most handsome manager that's been out there. So a lot of the female fans will be maybe slightly disappointed if they're knocked out.
Okay, yeah, no, I can't say I took much notice of how handsome the Moroccan manager is, but I'll take a look at him later. Show him to my girlfriend.
Apparently, he looks between Jamie Lannister from Game of Thrones and remember Shrek?
Yeah.
Remember
Prince Charming. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to. Yeah. Yeah, mixture of the two of those. I thought you were going to say it was a mixture between the Lannister guy and Shrek. I was like, that doesn't sound very handsome, but yeah, those two guys actually look pretty much like those two princes. So yeah, I'll check them out. So yeah, Russia obviously their first loss. Don't think they really kind of got into this game. Obviously they had the man sent off after about half an hour, but they're already 2-0 down at that stage. So has their bubble burst? Is this have we seen peak Russia in their first 2 games?
I think we have. I think whoever they face now, they came second, obviously not first, which means they're going to be facing a group winner in the next round.
Yeah, they're going to be facing Spain.
So you can't really. I presume we're going to have our own day where we actually do discuss the teams. I won't go too in depth, but I think just to make it out of the group is a success. That should be their World Cup right there. They've captivated the fans. They've given the fans something to cheer about, and I think now the fans can be happy, even if they do go out with what they've achieved so far. So if I'm a Russian fan, I'm delighted. I'm thinking I thought we were going to finish with no wins basically, and we can't do, and we're out of the group. So
yeah,
I'm complaining.
Yeah, no, it's fair, but I'll draw your attention to our very first kind of trial podcast, back up probably about a month ago now. We think we made some predictions, and I said Uruguay and Russia, and you went for Uruguay and Egypt. So I just want to leave that kind of knowledge kind of set in, and I'll just leave it there.
Hey, I have to say, that's some great analytical work from you. I'll give credit when credit's due.
It was basically the odds at the time kind of swayed me. So I kind of saw what the bookies were thinking with home advantage kind of proving dividends. And obviously, you know, at the time Salah was still fit, so that wasn't a part of it. But, you know, Egypt losing Salah was, you know, a huge loss for them. So yeah, just in that game, or in the other game, the Saudi Arabia versus Egypt game, El Hadary became the oldest ever player at 45. So who do you think is the next player at 45 that will still be kicking and playing at a World Cup?
Like in the future?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, you kind of just imagine, well, up until Messi's recent struggles,
Yeah.
you think Ronaldo and Messi would still be like playing until their 50s.
Yeah. Yeah, hoping for that World Cup win.
I always thought Buffon would be a player that would be like, you know, long stand, but then he retired recently.
Yeah.
You always find that with these Middle Eastern teams that players do play into their older ages. Same with some certain European teams. Like I remember Greece. For a long while, their goalkeeper was trucking along at Olympiacos in the national team for a long time.
Yeah, I think goalkeepers have probably easiest job physically. So you know, like they don't really notice a decrease in speed or stamina over the years. So obviously reactions and stuff like that might suffer, but in terms of just physical ability, I don't think any outfield player will be playing at 45 at a World Cup, but maybe it could be one of those goalkeepers. So whoever's out there keeping themselves fit, doing their yoga or whatever, might be the next one, and look to break that record, because 45 is pretty ancient. Not sure what the previous record was, but yeah, he's the new record holder. Probably not the most desirable record to be getting at a World Cup, but he's in the history book, so fair play to him. And he saved a penalty as well in Saudi Arabia, so that was a nice way to cap off his history-making appearance.
Yeah.
So that's Group B. So we'll again do a bit of a better, more in-depth kind of preview of those upcoming games. So it's Portugal versus Uruguay and Spain versus Russia. So those are some interesting games coming up this weekend. So this is a pretty quick turnaround for when those games are going to be coming up in the last 16. So it'll actually be pretty soon where we have to do that preview. So I just want to move on to some of the games that we kind of saw over the weekend. So kind of started off with Colombia. I think they were one of my dark horse kind of picks, and obviously they kind of failed at the first attempt against Japan with a man getting sent off super early. So yeah, did you manage to catch this game? What did you think about Colombia's
the
response?
Colombia-Japan game, right?
No, it was Senegal-Japan, and it was Colombia versus, I can't remember.
Wait, I got this. Colombia versus Poland.
Poland, Poland, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I did see that game, and that game was one of my good friends is Polish, and felt bad for him.
Yeah, going home.
But I gotta say, that finish from Falcao was vintage. You have to say.
Yeah, 100%.
Colombia kind of ran that game, and it was actually kind of fun, along with the Senegal-Japan game, to see some goals flowing. That whole weekend overall, especially Sunday.
Yeah.
England kind of started it in good light, and it kind of just went through. So it was a fun game to watch. Unfortunate for Lewandowski and co with the Polish team. They've got a very talented squad, but they weren't able to put it together this time around. So they have to kind of focus for the next Euros, I suppose. But you know, Colombia, James Rodriguez, Falcao, Cuadrado, those guys can look forward to the round of 16. Yeah,
no, there was some great assists and some lovely play from those players that you mentioned, and I've got a picture here of Lewandowski. He's doing his best Phil Jones impression of making weird faces, going for the ball. But I think we kind of, well, at least I did anyway. I was kind of bigging him up before the tournament, you know, as one of the best kind of number 9s in the world, and you know he's spent a lot of time at Bayern Munich, and could he be moving on after this? So obviously didn't get on the score sheet, and Poland are going home as a result. So, what did you make of his performances overall? It's only been
Well,
two,
like
but
the thing I've noticed, uh, maybe just a couple of exceptions, but the thing I've noticed is like you may have a good striker, or like like Salah or Lewandowski, but I think what's more important is having a good midfield at this tournament.
hmm
Being able to link up play, being able to take control of games. The problem with the Polish team is they didn't really have anyone in the middle of the park. I think their second best player may have been potentially Piszczek.
hmm
This for does he still play for Dortmund or has he moved on? I'm not sure, but he is arguably their second best player behind Lewandowski. And when it's your right back, that's never a good thing. In terms of creating chances in the middle. So I felt like anytime I watched Poland play, he was very isolated, very frustrated, and couldn't really do much. And I found out with other players such as obviously Salah for Egypt, even Nigeria, Igalo, because apparently he's been banging in the goals in China. But it wasn't until they did a formation change actually and went with two up that they were able to get some action going. So unfortunate for Lewandowski. I don't think it's indicative of his talent. He just really didn't get the chances, and he's not the sort of player to get the ball in the middle and start. It's not like an Ibrahimovic type player. He's basically a goal scorer for Bayern Munich. So unfortunate for him, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of moving on now to the England game. Obviously Harry Kane left with the match ball, 2 penalties, and you kind of alluded to them earlier. They were absolute bangers, pretty much carbon copy. Both top corner absolutely rifled in. So I think Mr. Ronaldo and Mr. Messi might be looking to take some notes.
Oh, sure. This game, like, obviously, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
I found it hilarious the way the British media were kind of going on, like, it's coming home.
Yeah.
Like, you beat Panama, for God's sake. Would you calm down? Like, but still, you still have to beat them. And that's what they did. And I don't know if you caught it, but some of the sites like Joe.ie and Sport Bible were spotted a situation where you've probably seen it, maybe growing up playing football as a kid. When I don't know if it's either you trashing another team or a team trashing your team, and the manager goes at halftime and says, "Hey, can you take it a little easy in the second half?" So basically, there was a picture of the Panama coach going to Gareth Southgate just before the end of the half, and many people think he was trying to say, just take it a little easy on us means. So I think in the second half they came out a little more lackadaisical. Kane obviously got his second goal very flukily. Then Panama got their goal back, but it was not really the same kind of intensity that England put in the first half, where they looked, raring to go. So I'm now looking forward to that Belgium game actually now.
Yeah, obviously they kind of took Harry Kane off after he scored the hat trick, and that was a very dubious goal to kind of
get the hat trick with.
Exactly, yes, but Harry Kane from last season, he'll claim it, so as all good strikers would in that situation, because I think the shot was going wide anyway. So he leaves with the match ball, and now he's top of the goal scoring chart. So I think our buddy Colin Smith asked us who he thought was going to win the Golden Boot, so I think he'd be happy with that. Obviously his other bet was on Ronaldo, so I think he'd be disappointed he didn't manage to put away that penalty, because then that would have been the two of them on 5 goals at the top of the goal scoring chart. So more wrestling going on in the English box. The defenders seem to be just
don't get me started. Like, I'm sorry, that was ridiculous. Like, there was one, I think it was the second penalty, where there was literally like 3 guys
that's the
that
image
were
I got
given
up.
away. Like, it was actually hilarious. And then the one in Kane where literally at the end he ends up hitting him in the head. Like, I don't know how he didn't get a card for that. But maybe they just thought like that's a way to get into the English people's heads, but they just gave away 2 goals because of it. So
yeah, it's crazy. Like, obviously it's kind of been a tactic for a long time, getting touch tight to your man at corners, and defenders in the Premier League have made a career out of it, but now with VAR, like, it's crazy that people are still doing that.
That's true. Like, for example, a big player that I know that I watch, Ryan Shawcross, he's a great defender, but he's known to defend very tight like that at corners. I want to know if VAR is going to be implemented like it is in the World Cup right now,
Mm-hmm.
does that mean we're just going to see a sudden increase in penalties like this tournament? Like, it's ridiculous the amount of penalties that we've seen so much.
Yeah, yeah.
And imagine it'll be fun for us. Do you imagine the amount of extra goals we're going to see next season? So I'm kind of excited.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting that you kind of bring that up. Obviously, it's kind of broken the number of penalties in a tournament already, and we're still in the group stage. So obviously, it's great to see goals, but this tournament has seen some amazing goals, some like headers from corners and from free kicks, and then just a metric ton of penalties. So it's going to be a high scoring tournament, I think, by the end of it. But penalties, they're not the most exciting. Obviously, some of them, like Kane's ones, are executed very well, but they're not Quaresma style open play. Just doing an amazing strike. So.
But to add to that, I think penalty taking, it's skill in itself.
True.
Just because you get a penalty doesn't mean it's guaranteed. And as we've seen with Ronaldo and Messi, if it's not perfect, sometimes it will get saved. Or with Gylfi Sigurdsson, they'll just go over. So just because people are giving away penalties, if maybe it's now an opportunity for goalkeepers to become like penalty saving expert specialists, and maybe we'll start seeing like Van Gaal. Substitutions where, all right, we need our penalty goalkeepers to come on. So that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, it could change the shape of fantasy football. If you've got that goalkeeper who's a penalty expert, get him in your sides.
Exactly.
So yeah, I don't know if you saw it. It's just a picture that Harry Maguire posted on Twitter. So 2 years ago, he was there with his buddies at the Euros as an attendee. Obviously, he wasn't in the squad, and then. After the game on Sunday, he kind of recreated that picture with his friends on the side of the pitch. So that's a cool story from going from fan to lining out for your team in the World Cup. So I think that's a great story.
Oh, it is for sure. And I know from you speaking on this podcast that you're a big fan of Harry Maguire, and I am too, to be honest. He's kind of done himself justice as well with the English side. They seem to be pretty tight at the back. Obviously, they were very lackadaisical in the second half, but I suppose it wouldn't be. And maybe just a slight bit of loss of concentration against Tunisia in that first game, but they seem pretty solid there too. Maguire, his transformation and improvement from working his way up from Hull to that transfer to Leicester to making his way to national team, it's quite something.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously they haven't really faced the biggest test yet, and the English media are all aboard the hype train about their chances. So it'd be great to see them up against Belgium. Obviously, Belgium are kind of rumored to be kind of resting players and stuff, so they might not get the full workout. But it'd be interesting to see the likes of Harry Maguire and Stones and Kyle Walker in that three-man defence up against a very talented. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so. If they don't rest anybody, Belgium, if it's Lukaku, Mertens and Hazard up against those three, then the English defence might come under a lot of pressure. So we'll see how their form continues. Then I just got a tweet up. Some girl called Jess, looks like a Man City fan. So if John scores tomorrow, I'll get a tattoo of him. So Kyle Walker actually quoted that and then said, "I'll pay." And then Gary Lineker liked it, so I wonder if Jess is going to get that tattoo.
Well, she has to now.
Yeah, if Gary Lineker and Kyle Walker, and I presume John Stones would be fully involved as well, so she might have to back it up. So would you get a tattoo of his face, or would you get his signature, or what would you get tattooed if you had to get a John Stones tattoo?
Well, the signature is more tasteful, right? Yeah. You don't want to get someone's face and tattooed on your body.
All on your back, just get a full life-size face on your back.
Exactly.
So yeah, then kind of a good news story from a bad news story. We kind of talked the other day about the Argentinian fans, kind of fighting Croatians and throwing stuff onto the field. So they've been fined 105,000 Swiss francs. So at least there's some kind of retribution. Obviously, it's the FA that will pay that. I don't know if there's the individual fans are going to be pursued by police or authorities, but at least there's some kind of action taken. And it's not the biggest fine ever, but it's something that we need to get rid of from football stadiums.
For sure. Like when you showed me that video, I was very horrified. I can't believe that was happening. Like, I don't care how bad your team gets beaten. Like, you shouldn't be resorting to that.
Definitely.
So even I don't think they got fined enough, in my opinion. But yeah, at least it's something, and at least they're not getting away scot-free.
Yeah, and as I say, hopefully there's something in the process or in the works to identify the people that were involved, because it was absolutely pure scum to do such a crazy act. So that was a bit of a wrap up there. It's kind of moving in on to Germany, Sweden. So obviously Germany were kind of on the brink of it, seems, like I got
my God.
an image here just on the potential penalty of Jerome Boateng and Marcus Berg. So obviously I didn't know where to start, but what did you think about that one? Did you think it was a penalty?
I think it could have been. I don't think Boateng put himself in any glory in that game from start to finish, and obviously he didn't have a good ending in terms of sending off.
Early back.
That's probably one that some people might give either ways, but I thought it was a penalty. Jerome Boateng being one of the best defenders for the last maybe 5 years, with Bayern Munich, he did not put himself in any glory, did he?
Yeah, no, definitely not. But yeah, obviously the winning goal was Toni Kroos, absolute banger.
That goal, I remember watching it as well, because I was like, I saw a 1-1. Then I saw the foul, and I was like, nah, he's probably just gonna cross it in, And Sweden, the thing about Sweden is they're defensively they can match the Germans anyway. Maybe not in technique, but in terms of physicality, I think all strong team. And then you see that little layoff, and you're like, huh, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And then a bit of Cruise magic, cruise control, Tony Cruise control.
Nice. So it was a crazy one for me, like a kind of brave decision to take a shot on from that angle, because that goes into the keeper's glove safely, or if it goes hopelessly wide, like the whole nation would be like, what the fuck are you doing, just put it into the box, but as you say, Swedish team are pretty well organized, and they've some big players, and just kind of looking at the image here, there's only 4 German players inside that box, so it was an interesting way to set up.
Well, I that's what I just wanted to mention as well. I just feel, along with the penalties and all that, I've noticed a few decent setups from set pieces, and it seemed like the Germans knew he was going to take a shot. Let us not even talk about the English set piece for John Stones' goal. So again, I think we actually talked about this earlier on in one of our podcasts, where we were talking about teams, should they be taking advantage of set pieces? Because I think it was Japan, wasn't it? That South Korea did something pretty slick in one of their corner takes. So again, this is probably maybe a little bit more subtle compared to what England did. But still, I think you have the opportunity to do all these things with set pieces. Why are you just taking direct shots or crossing it in when you can maybe do something a little bit more elaborate?
Yeah, a bit more intricate. And we didn't get a chance to talk about that English kind of set piece. Definitely off the training ground, and it was nice kind of intricate passing, and people dropping deep and dinking it in. So hopefully we'll see more of that. Yeah. That's kind of, we're nearing the end now. So I don't know, did you see the Japanese and Senegalese fans after it? There were I think it was a Senegal fan was posted it up on his Twitter, and it's just him with some Japanese fans, and they're singing, I don't know, some Japanese anime cartoon intro song. So I thought it was a great way of teams coming together across cultures with a unifying song. So
for sure. Sorry, what did you want to say?
Yeah, no, I was just going to ask your thoughts then on the game.
Oh man, that game overall, it was fair play, great game, goals, cleaning up afterwards. And the Japanese fans joined in this time as well. In terms of the game itself, Senegal first half was all Senegal. Felt they should have won it. They were unfortunate not to. And then Japan kind of turned the tide, and then Kazuki Honda came in as a sub to score that kind of draw. But I kind of think they should both be okay going into the last game. If they can, both hang on, I think they both deserve to go through, especially Senegal. They've really impressed me. And not just Mane, but Niang, Sarr, the right winger. I think he's going to get himself a move. Like, apparently he's the fastest guy at the tournament.
Wow.
And he's young. He's only 20. Like, that guy can learn some other aspects of his game. He's a little bit like, he reminds me of a tall, maybe slightly stronger Theo Walcott when he kind of got onto the stage. He's just runs straight in a straight line as fast as possible, and then hopes to get fouled, or if he can maybe add a little bit end product, he could be something to watch.
Interesting.
So that game was fun.
Yeah, no, it was a very fun game, and both teams now go into the last game of the group with both their chances still going. They're both on 4 points, and Colombia are right behind on 3 points. So
it's interesting.
Yeah. Senegal play Colombia, so that's going to be a very interesting, exciting game. Kind of a winner takes all, really. So obviously Poland will be no pushovers in that last game either against Japan. So I think we kind of said they're going home and that they've nothing else to play for effectively. But I think they'll want to go out with a bit of pride as well, and they'll be a big physical team against the Japanese. So that could be another interesting end to that group. So looking forward to the end of that group.
Sure.
Then just on the sheer amount of penalties. So I think there's been 20 now as of tonight. I've got a tweet here from Opta saying that there's been 19 penalties, but I think that was before the last minute one for Iran. So I think we already kind of covered that about the crazy amount of penalties that are happening. And then South Korea are going home, so you kind of already mentioned the picture of Son crying in the dressing room, so just got it up here again just to show the emotion of football. And Son is kind of one of those players that definitely leaves it all out there on the pitch, and a very emotional guy. When they lost in the Olympics back in 2014 in Brazil, he had a similar kind of emotional kind of flare up at the final whistle. Like, he was on the pitch for a good few minutes at the end, inconsolable really. So more images of his being distraught. It's an interesting one.
For sure. Son is one of football's good guys, I feel. And his goal as well at the end showed his quality.
Great strike.
So it's kind of unfortunate he wasn't in kind of the last kind of golden generation of the Korean team, because I think he would have done some real damage there back with Team Prodigy Song and Kova. But he's still young enough. I think he can still impact the South Korean team going forward, maybe into the next Olympics or the next World Cup. He's only 26 now?
26, yeah, but he does have his military service kind of hanging over his head, so that might be part of the tears and the emotion. That it's another failure, and he's playing for his freedom effectively, because if he doesn't get a pardon for his military service. So it's
he might though, because the president was there. The president was in the changing room.
But I guess if he gets it, the rest of the squad gets it. So I think in Korean law, if you win any medal at the Olympics, I think all the 2002 when they got to the semi-finals, they were all given kind of presidential pardon. And then I think we kind of mentioned it previously as well in a previous podcast about the Asian Games that are coming up in August. So I think Son will be allowed to go to that, and if they win that, he gets his pardon. And then there's the Asian Cup in January as well. So still got more time, but obviously he's going to be missing games for Tottenham as a result if they do allow him go. But I can't see them not allowing him go, because losing him for 2 years would be criminal, especially as he's kind of entering his peak from here.
Of course.
So last slide then, I've got your man Ahmed Musa for the Nigerians. What did you think of the Nigeria game, and obviously Musa's performance? He scored one absolutely stunning goal and another one.
Don't get me started. Like that game, it was something else. Like I think we started off slow. But then when Musa got that first goal, like that, took it out of the air. slammed it in top right hand corner. I think he just kind of became free, and then we just went on to play. I think you saw kind of Nigeria at their full potential in that second half, and the opposition kind of had no answers for our pace, our power, and we're very solid in the back. People were talking about our weaknesses being set pieces, and our so-called 19-year-old goalkeeper. Have you seen our goalkeeper? He's 19.
I did not.
He looks as if he's 35. Not even joking. He's about 6'4", 6'5".
Wow.
With he looks older than me, and he's supposedly 19. But as long as he's keeping clean sheets like that, I'm happy. Ahmed Musa, for sure. I don't know how he wasn't starting the first game. That's just kind of ridiculous in its own right. Because he's by far maybe behind Moses. Arguably, he's our best player. Especially, he's our most effective threat. Igalo probably won't start again. I think Inihacho, he didn't score, but he did a good job in partnering up Musa. As Musa was making runs, Inihacho was coming deep, trying to give passing options. Obi Mikel did better, playing a deeper role. I'm just asking, why did he not play like this in the first game? So, got a hard challenge against Argentina. Apparently, I don't know, maybe in the next podcast we'll cover this, but talks of mutiny in the Argentina camp.
Right.
So that's only gonna do us well. So yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, there's pretty much a final on the horizon for both those two teams because the loser goes home. So that's going to be an absolute battle. And obviously, there's a lot of stories coming out of the Argentinian camp about Sampaoli pretty much just being excommunicated, and it's going to be the players that are going to be choosing the team and the tactics and stuff. So I don't know, is it going to be good for them, or is it going to be the lunatics who are running the asylum? Because I think Sampaoli's tactics in that last game against Croatia towards the end were just absolute farce. So I don't know if they can do any worse, or if they'll actually manage to get the win or whatever. So big game.
For sure. And the thing is, I think it's very harsh to discredit Sampaoli because Sampaoli won championships with Chile. He's beaten Argentina with Chile. Let's not forget how good of a coach Sampaoli is with the right players and the right players to buy into a system. It's just, maybe Argentina just isn't his fit, so I don't want to discredit Sampaoli as a coach. I think media are very quick to just blame things on the coach in itself, especially in England. I think he's a talented coach. I just don't think he's a good fit with this team. I think what the players are doing is awful. A lot of disrespect. He's still the coach. He shouldn't be doing that. But, a lot of the Argentina team have a lot of established names, big names, prima donnas maybe. And, if they're that, and maybe they're just flexing some of that muscle in terms of excommunicating him out, which I think is awful. But
it's we've seen some crazy managerial shake-ups in this tournament. Obviously, Spain being the other kind of notable one for different reasons. So that's going to be an on-running story. And I don't know, did you see one of the Argentinian sports broadcasters? They had a moment of silence for the Argentinian national team after that loss against Croatia. So it's definitely all hands to the pump on that. But I guess they're back in it now that Nigeria beat Iceland. So it's going to be a shootout between Argentina and Nigeria. So I know you're looking forward to the game. Obviously, it's going to be a big one in your house, I'd imagine.
Sure.
So I think that's everything that we wanted to cover today. So we actually managed to get through quite a bit. Obviously, we could have went a lot deeper on pretty much every single game, but I think we gave a nice kind of summation of most of those games. I think there might even be a couple of games that we forgot. We didn't talk about Belgium at all. It's probably another.
I don't think we need to.
Other than Lukaku getting another brace for Belgium, but.
True.
So I think that's it. It's another Black and White Football in the can. That was episode number 11. Hopefully all the streaming worked properly. Trying a new little setup here again, so hopefully we'll get a bit better at that as we do it more as well. So I think that's about it.
Give Will Martin a big clap, because he's the one that's making this thing happen for us. So we appreciate you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you too. I appreciate the fans as well, because it's all about the fans.
Without the fans, we won't be here.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'd still probably be just talking shit about football with each other. Because I definitely have been enjoying breaking down different games and sharing thoughts and opinions. So cool. I guess till the next time, might stream some watch-alongs for the kind of upcoming games over the next kind of couple of days. I've kind of figured out a way for myself and David to be watching the same stream at the same time. So we'll see if that actually works, because it's another kind of load on my my Wi-Fi, which is kind of patchy at best. So hopefully that will work out and we'll be able to live stream a watch along kind of video as the games are starting to come thick and fast.
But to cap it all off, like, share, subscribe on whichever platform you're watching us on, and we're ready to do another one next time we see you guys.
Cool. See you guys.